Hello and welcome back to JBCTR. Now if you're new, my name is Johnny and today we're going to be hardwiring a dash cam in a mini hatch. Right then, so plan of action for today obviously is going to fit a dash cam. Today we're fitting a Nextbase 412GW, which is a used camera. It's already done a 2-year stint in my Fiesta and it was absolutely marvellous. So I'm not going to buy a new one, just going to shove it back in the new car. And we're going to be using the Nextbase DASHCAM HARDWIRE kit. Now this is not an essential. If you wanted to, you could cut the cable that comes with the camera and goes straight into the plug socket and then wire on a piggyback fuse and all that kind of stuff, but I like these because they're just easy. However, confession time, I'm a proper stingy in it today because this is a new kit. I'm actually going to use this for my new car when it arrives, and today we're using exactly the same kit but a used version, as you can see. So yeah, sorry about the stinge, but you know, we are. Right, let's get into it. Now, before we get started, we need to make sure that we have everything that we're going to need. So for this, we need probably just only one, but I've got a selection of trim removal tools. These will probably be the most used. We'll need a little bit of panel wipe and a cloth or some rubbing alcohol or something just to clean the windscreen and make sure that the dash cam has something nice and clean to stick to. A fuse puller. I would recommend one of these because pulling the fuses out with your fingers is a pain, so it's probably worth an investment, a couple of quid, and I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, we need to loosen one bolt, so a socket set is important. I think it'll be either 7 or 10 mil, but as I've not taken the car apart, I'm not sure yet, so yeah, we have the set. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, we need to identify the fuse box. Pretty easy, it's in the glove compartment and there's a little flap in here. If you just pull that out and you'll see the fuses behind it. So now we need to get it all plugged in and double check that our hardwire setup is working. Now, in order to test that it works, we need to first identify a correct fuse to tap into. Now, for a dash cam, we want it to be a switched live, so the dash cam is not on all the time and it goes on and off with your ignition. You can do that by looking in the owner's manual to find a fuse that is switched, so something like, I don't know, the radio, for example. So I've opened the manual, and when you go to fuses, it tells you how to get to the fuses, and then when it comes to replacing them, it says contact your local service partner, which is a pretty poor user experience by many. But thankfully, if you delve into the fuse box, there's this little weird slip of paper here, and strangely they're all written on here on this folded piece of weird card. Get that open. So out of these we can now choose which one we want to tap into. So looking at this little slip of paper, I found a fuse which is quite easily accessible. I think I can put my piggyback fuse over it and it won't hit anything, and it's got a picture of a mirror next to it. So if it's the tilt function within the mirror, I think it's a switch live. If it's the folding function, then it won't be. So a little bit of trial and error here, but fingers crossed this is a switch live. So now I've pulled the fuse out, I can see that it's a mini or ATM type fuse. And thankfully, Nextbase include the correct piggyback adapter within their different kit. If your car has a different one, you can email Nextbase and they will send you the correct adapter, which is very good because that's what I had to do for the Fiesta. But thankfully the Mini uses mini fuses, which are pretty standard. So to set this up, you take the fuse that you took out, you put it in the only empty slot on the piggyback adapter, which is there, and it already comes fitted with a 2 amp fuse, which will be used for the dash cam. So now we have the same circuit going through the 5 amp fuse that we're piggybacking off, with a separate circuit going through a 2 amp fuse that's going to go to our dash cam. And now we can plug this in. now we've got our positive connected, we now need to connect our negative terminal, which can be anywhere on the chassis, because of course the chassis is grounded to the negative terminal on the battery. And to do that, we are going to start removing some trim. So first of all, we'll start by pulling this off, which as you can see is super easy. And then I need a trim removal tool to take off this little bit of plastic here. Just be a bit wary because it's got the passenger airbag switch in it, but it's got quite a long wire, so you can sort of dangle it down.
You better run, run. Take your pretty outfit and go. Show yourself right out of my zone. Now before I lose my control.
Tell you what, it's bloody cold today. It's like 0 degrees and you'll probably watch my hands go bluer and bluer, but I'm gonna press on because this is important stuff. But anyway, as you saw, forward of the panel, there's actually it's a 13mm, I thought it was 10, but it's a 13mm bolt behind there. I used a spark plug remover because the bolt coming out is actually quite long, so that was the easiest way of doing it. And as you saw, I just slipped the negative terminal underneath and tightened it back up again. So really nice and simple. I've plugged my dash cam in and it's not on, which is good at the moment because the ignition isn't on. So this is the moment of truth. Hey, it's turned on. Woo! And if I turn it off, it goes off. Cool, awesome. So that is the wiring that we are going to stick with. Obviously we're going to have to undo it once it's all fed and routed and stuff. But yeah, so at least we know what we're doing from a wiring perspective. Now, next up, this is perhaps a little bit controversial, but I'm going to start by mounting this on the windscreen and we're going to work backwards with the wiring. Reason for that is because I don't want a surplus of wire at the top because there isn't really anywhere to store it. So if we work backwards from the top, the surplus of wire should end up in this area here, and I'm sure we can find some hole somewhere behind the glove box to hide it away so it's all nice and neat. So yeah, first things first, let's get this mounted. So I've given the windscreen where I'm going to stick this a little bit of a clean to make sure it's going to be nice and sticky, and now we need to choose where we're going to position it. So you want to make sure that the camera is looking through an area of the windscreen that is covered by the windscreen wipers, so when it's raining it can still see, but in the Mini the windscreen wipers actually go pretty much to the top of the windscreen, so that's not too much of a consideration. The other thing is you want to put it behind the rear view mirror so that you're not distracted by the screen as you're driving. So in the Mini I think we can go pretty much all the way to the top. And now back on this side, we can start routing some wires. And the first bit is the easy bit, just a case of stuffing it into the headlining. So let's do that. So that is all the cables nearly down to the fuse box, and to be honest, it's really easy around there. The only sticking point is crossing this A pillar, but as you saw, just a cheeky trim removal tool, pries it out a little, and then you have loads of room just to push it down, and then it follows this groove all the way down here. So that's pretty easy, and we've got one more bit of routing to do, and that is the positive cable into the fuse box. We're going to unplug it and then push it around the back. So ideally you'd want like a wire coat hanger just to help hook it around. Now, I haven't got one, so I've got some stiff wire instead, so hopefully that'll do the job. Okay, so that's all the wiring done, it just needs to tidy up, and as I said, we've now got this surplus of wire down the bottom, and thankfully there is a void just there. which means we can stuff all our wires in there and then they're all nicely hidden. So we'll do that now, put the trim on, and that should be us done. And there we have it. That is how you fit a dash cam to a mini hatch. And I think if I wasn't filming, I could probably have that done in 10 to 15 minutes. And it looks really cool, nice and professional. And then you can sort of forget about the dash cam and it will just sort of do its thing. So certainly a job that I think is well worth doing. For now, I think we'll leave it there. I'm gonna warm up with a nice hot beveragino and then go film some crappy drivers with my new dash cam. So yeah. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, the Mini and other car content, then feel free to subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next one.
There goes a sight from my soul.